Hi, this is Cara from Enchanted Vines, and today I'm going to show you an easy DIY recipe for a hydrangea wreath. So today we're going to be working with a 14-inch grapevine base. So we're going to take our grapevine base, which this one's nice and neat and clean. So if this had a lot of debris in it, like if it had a lot of pine needles or leaves, you want to take those things out because those things are already decomposing. So if we're trying to glue into something that's already falling apart, there's nothing for it to hold on to. But this one's in good shape, nice and clean. Okay, so we're gonna make a hook for this to hang on. So as somebody who sells wreaths, I like to make it just, you know, a nice suggestion to my clients as to how to just hang it straight out of the box. So I'm gonna take one of the thicker branches, and I'm gonna take my grapevine wire, and I'm gonna just feed this right through. Okay, and I'm just gonna twist off the ends. Okay, and now I'm just going to slide this through so that the round loop part is up top. And then I'm going to just take any ribbon. I usually just like to find something, you know, either inexpensive or something that's just kind of hanging around here that I'm not going to use. And I'm just going to tie it in a knot. And I do this just to mark it because the grapevine wire, it does its job. It's a mechanic that is very well disguised. It looks just like the grapevine, so it's very easy for it to get lost. Okay, so I'm just going to hang it like so. And that also helps when I'm designing because then I can, you know, I know where kind of my North Star is. All right, so now we're going to work with, we're going to start with our ficus. Ficus I love because it is a very inexpensive greenery, but it does its job. Okay, it is, yes, it's two-dimensional, but it covers a lot of ground and you get a lot of like bang for your buck. These usually cost about $1. Wholesale, you know, might cost maybe $2 if you're getting it at, you know, one of our local craft stores. So for this one, this is from a wholesaler from Pioneer. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to just bend it into 3 branches. And these 2 side pieces are perfect length. So I'm just going to snip 1, snip 2. This one in the middle, it's too long. So I'm going to go about halfway down, snip it. And I have this piece here. I don't think I'm going to use it, but sometimes you never know. So I like to just snip it and kind of put it off to the side. I call it a nubbin. Not a great name. Forgot it was a whole Chandler Bing thing. Can't undo it now. I've been calling it that for years. Okay, I'm going to repeat. So cut it into 3s. Break it down. 1, 2. Middle piece 3, 4. And we're going to put this off to the side. We may or may not need our 3rd piece of ficus. So I'm using a Surebonder glue pot. I'm going to glue as I go. You know, people have different ways of doing it. Some people like to have everything laid out before they glue. You might want to use a glue gun. It's really whatever you're comfortable with. When you're designing, there's no right way or wrong way. And if anybody tells you there is, don't listen to them. Of course, a dog's going to bark when I'm recording because why wouldn't they? All right. So, yes, always do what you're comfortable with doing. And, you know, there are no hard, fast rules, so we don't have to do things in odd numbers and all of these things. So, you always want to do whatever you're comfortable with. Of course, they're going nuts. All right, so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to give this a little bend. Our materials are very malleable. They're not going to break, so if I bend it this way and then I'm like, nope, that was wrong, I can bend it the other way and it's totally fine. All right, so starting at the top half of my wreath, I'm going to go top corner, give it a little bend, and now I'm going to do everything in 2s, partially because I'm just like OCD and it just makes me happy, but also it's going to give me balance as I'm going. So again, I'm going to give this a little bend. But this way I kind of don't lose track of how much ficus I've used in one area or how much of one material I've used in one area. Okay, so 1, 2. Now I'm going to repeat. And so now I'm like laying out the parameters. So now we know how high and low we're going to go. And this is going to tell us how far side to side we're going to go. So again, inexpensive greenery. So even though a lot of this is going to get covered up, it doesn't really matter because for me, it's almost like my binky. Like it just gives me the guidance that I like so that I can design without overthinking things. So in the end, you could have a design that maybe ends up being, you know, say you are selling on Etsy, you could end up having a wreath that maybe only takes you like half an hour, like something that you can just kind of like do in a quick time frame. Not that it's a race or something that you want to rush through, but say you had a craft show and you were like, oh geez, I need to kind of crank out some stuff. It is good to have a go-to recipe that you are very comfortable doing. Not necessarily this one, it could be anything that, you know, it could be an arrangement or whatever. All right, and then I'm going to put one of these right in the middle. All right, so we have top, bottom, middle. We're going to be using a bow. I'm going to show you what I call, and this is a very complicated name. It is a 10 by 10 bow. I know, I stayed up really late at night thinking about what to name it. And the reason why it's called the 10 by 10 bow is because everything we're going to do with this bow is measured in 10-inch increments. Okay, so we are going to we're going to be using 2.5-inch wired ribbon. Okay, that's kind of my go-to. And what I'm going to do is, there is always a front and a back on ribbon. So even if both sides look alike, there is one side that is meant to be the front. Okay, it's not the end of the world, obviously, if they get mixed up. However, one has stitching that just looks better. It's just more aesthetically pleasing. So while I'm doing this, I do want to make sure that I have the front facing the right way. And also because the loops are going to be kind of like clean and crisp because I'm twisting it the right way. So I am going to take my ribbon. I'm going to take the back side of the ribbon. I'm going to lay it on my ruler. I'm going to measure 10 inches. And then I'm going to pinch or pleat, either word. Either word's acceptable, whatever you want to do. Okay, I'm going to pinch that. I'm going to lay it back down on the ruler, okay? So again, back side is going on the ruler. I'm going to measure 10 inches. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to just put it right behind. Okay, so 10 inches right behind. And if you're new to making bows, I know how frustrating it can be to watch people do it, because if it's just not clicking, it's just frustrating. And then it's like someday it's going to click and you're going to be like, okay. Because that's how I felt with the Easy Bow Maker. I'm like, how on earth is everyone doing this? It is just driving me insane. And then one day I was like, oh, that's how. So I get it. So yes, anyways. So 10 inches, and then I took it and I am holding it like this, so I have one loop. Now I'm going to twist it because I want the back side of my ribbon to always be going down on the ruler. So I'm going to measure 10 inches. Now I'm going to take it and I'm going to fold it upward so that now I have a figure 8. We're almost done. 2/3 of the way there, pretty much. Now I'm going to twist again because I'm going to be putting the back side down on my ribbon. Measure 10 inches. And again, I'm going to bring this behind. So everything's being held right now with my pointer finger and my thumb. I also think this is a great bow recipe for someone who kind of has like those arthritic, like your hands get tired, which mine do. That this is one that it's like, once you're doing it, you know, like I'm taking a while because I'm explaining it, but it's not that hard to do, you know, versus like people who are holding these things with an iron grip. I don't know how they do it. Okay, now this one is going to be 20 inches. So we're going to measure 10 and 10 because this is going to be an extra set of tails. Okay, so it's still 10 and 10. The name still counts. Okay, so we've got one really long tail. I'm going to make a loop. And then I'm just going to measure another 10 inches. And I'm going to cut. Okay, now, if I knew better, which I do, but I didn't do it, I would have cut my wire first. You could use wire, chenille stem, zip tie, whatever floats your boat. I'm going to take my floral wire. I'm going to slide it right under my thumb. Okay, and there are videos somewhere on my page with just like an head view of making a bow, if that's more helpful, because it probably is. Okay, so I'm going to slide it under my thumb, and then I'm just going to twist so that everything that was right there in the middle where I was just pinching is nice and snug. Okay, so now we have 3 loops that are the same size, and then we have this long loop. I'm going to take this long loop, cut it in half, and now we have four tails. Now we're gonna dovetail, or you can cut a diagonal, but to dovetail, you take your tail, you cut it in half, and then you cut up at an angle without losing a finger. If you do it, and it does the exact opposite, and you're like, why do I have it pointing down like an extra triangle? It just means to do it the opposite way. Not a big deal, just try it again. If you're not feeling confident or you don't have a ton of ribbon, you can always just do it at a very a very slight angle, say, like you just want to test the waters, like, am I doing it right? Just do like a little baby one, you know, just to make sure, and like, okay, I checked it, I'm doing it right. So you're gonna go and you're going to do this cut on all four tails. Hello, Bruno. We all heard you barking. Was it helpful? No. Hi. Hi, big boy. Thank you. Were you helpful when there was a spider down here earlier? No. I'm still mad at you. But Bruno was neutered a few weeks ago, so he's mad at me. So, if I had to say tit for tat, yeah. He has the right. Okay, so now we have our 3 loops and our 4 tails. Just stay with me. I know it doesn't seem great, but it's gonna work perfect. Now we're gonna take our bow and we are going to feed. You can either just wrap it all the way around your wreath if you want. Don't sigh, Bruno. You're a dog. How hard can it be? Or you can feed it through the wreath. I like to just feed it through because I like mechanics to be hidden like any which way you can. But again, it's really not going to be all that noticeable if you do just wrap it around. But for me, I'm just going to feed it through. That's my other dog, Steve. Because who doesn't have a dog named Steve? All right, feeding these through. Okay, and then on the back, I'm going to just take this wire and I'm just going to tie it nice and snug. Hey, Steve. Stevie. He's working so hard. Digging away through a dog bed. I know you're proud. It's just you're not going anywhere, Stevie. Yep. I will let him follow his dream, and I'll continue with this video. Okay, so right now I have kind of like a ball of wire here. I'm going to tuck this nice and snug into the back of this wreath because leaving wire out is something that potentially could scratch somebody's door, and we don't want that, right? Okay, so putting our wreath back up on our easel. I'm positioning 2 tails out. 2 tails are going to go in, but for now, because I'm going to be gluing as I go, I'm just going to put the tails out because I tend to drag glue sometimes. Don't mind me. This is a social video for me. So yes, I'm going to leave 2 in. Okay, now we're going to be using these large hydrangea blooms. I got these at Michael's a million years ago. They were like $2 each, so I bought hundreds of them, but in different colors. I love using these for workshops because they're so big that it's just like bam, like your wreath is kind of done. So it's great because we're using minimal materials. The overhead on these, or like the profit margin, is great, whether you're using it for selling or for a workshop. Because just sometimes you can just hit a sale just right. I'm not saying to go out and buy things by the hundreds because it's been years and I've been bringing these guys in and out. But sometimes you can find a product that you really do know that you can use year after year. And these have served me well. So anyways, I'm going to take my first hydrangea. I don't want to crowd my bow because I know that these blooms are giant. Okay, I'm going to leave this. These are going to go on an interior door. So I'm going to leave this pretty close to the base. Now, if I was, actually, let me see. Let me move this out even a little bit further. So I'm going to have this pretty flush against the base. If I was going to make this for somebody who's maybe putting on an outside door, I might have it like an inch or two off the base and keep it like nice and airy. But because I know that this is going on an inside door for somebody who lives in assisted living, I know that the door is going to be smaller. And so I want to keep this a little bit more compact. So when you're talking to a client, or if you're making this for somebody that you know where it's going, you do want to think about the space that it's going in and just consider, you know, bigger is not always better, because if it's not the appropriate size for the space, then it could just look odd. Like if you put a giant wreath on a smaller door, like an interior door versus an exterior door, then it's not going to look as nice. You know, you want something that is framed out nicely. All right, so get these guys in. Now we're going to go in with some filler flowers. Okay, so for this, we're going to use a mixed bush, and it has like some berries on it. These are the kind of things I like because it's got all sorts of textures built in, especially if you're new to wreath making and you're like, how much stuff do I have to buy before I figure out, do I want to do this or not? Because you do not want to go crazy with inventory. Anybody that you know that has done this, you will see what we've done. Like I have an overflow room. It has kept me up at night. I do donations every year because I'm just like, what was I thinking? What was I thinking? So especially if you're new, or maybe you're just doing this because you do want to give a gift to a friend, but you don't want to be like, why didn't I just buy this? Like I could have gone to a fancy big box store and it would have been less than me just doing this. So you don't want to go crazy. So if you find something like this where it has all these textures already put together for you, this is what I call like bang for your buck. Like this is a great type of mixed bush because we have on it, we have some berries, we have some flowers, we have some, I would say it's like maybe a fern, okay? But there's everything that you kind of like want. There's a great mix on it. And whenever you're working with something that is wrapped in paper, it's gonna come apart easy, which maybe is a good thing, maybe not. It kind of depends. But for this, I'm just gonna pull it apart. You could also, if you wanted to be less of an animal than I am, you could snip it. I mean, I don't know why I have to be a barbarian about things, but I do. I just do. So, all right. Who am I kidding? All right, so we've broken down this bush. And again, like these are the materials. They're gonna work for us and not the other way around. So if I don't want to have just like these giant chunks, then I'm gonna separate them, okay? And if you separate them and you realize I didn't want them to be this small or I wanted to keep them together, we can wire them back together. Like there's so many different things we can do. Don't be afraid to mess around with your materials to get exactly what it is that you're looking for, okay? All right, so we are going to start in the top corner, okay? Just like how we started before. Every time, really, if you think about it, we started with our ficus in the top. We started with our hydrangea at the top. Muscle memory. That seems snarky. It wasn't supposed to. That wasn't my intention. That was not my intention. I hope you know that. And you know what? Editing is not my strong suit, so that's going to be there when you see this video. So, know my heart. All right, so top left. Now we're going to go, well, my left, yeah. Now we're going to go bottom corner. I should just say top corner, bottom corner. Bottom corner, and when I put this in, so making sure that it's sliding in between the branches, okay, because we want it to be gripping onto something. And again, I'm just going to spread this right out because that's going to give us the most, again, like bang for our buck. If we just leave it all like smushed up together, then you're really not going to see all the different materials. Now I'm going to go back up top. Okay, and I'm going to give this a little bend again. Oh, how cute does that look? I humbly ask you. It does look super cute. It's very well paired. All right, now we're going to take our next set. Just going to mirror that below. See how easy this has come together? Like I actually pulled more materials, but we're really not gonna need them. I gotta say, that's always a good thing, because that means that you don't have to spend a whole lot of money to get a nice full wreath. So let's have something behind our loops on the bow. And I like how this brings in some pops of pink, but we're also carrying that lavender throughout. And then we have one more piece. Let's see. And this is something that either you can just say, like, I'm just going to put it aside. I don't really want to throw it off. Or you could say, you know what, like, I've stepped back and I feel like this could go here. So I feel like this could use a little something, something down here. And then, yeah, I pulled these pink flowers. We do not need them. I pulled some of this woodland fern. I say we use a little bit for texture. I don't know that we need all of it, but this is a pusher. So when we have pusher bushes, these are always the best because we can kind of decide if we want them like airy and fluffy, or do we want to make them more compact. So for this, I want to make them more compact. If I was doing an arrangement, I might want to leave it very long and airy. So I'm just going to gently push. Again, we can always fix things, but sometimes with greenery, it can be a bit of a pain. So why make extra work for ourselves? So I'm just going to take a few pieces. Let's say 5. And this is just one of my go-to greeneries. So we're going to go. Can you guess where? We're going to go top corner. All right, and I'm going to have this really close to our bow. Now we're going to go bottom. I guess it's really not corner, but we're going to go really close to our bow again. So bottom. Okay, close to our bow. Then up top, we're going to have this built out. Kind of filling up some of that empty space. And then here you can definitely see how much it needs it right here. Probably been irking you because I know it's been irking me. I've just been waiting. And also right here we're going to need something. And then right here behind the bow we have this empty space. So not everything's going to be this perfect recipe because the way that grapevines are, there's going to be gaps. The way that materials are, there's, you know, things are going to need to be tweaked. You're just going to use your judgment as you're going. So use your design eye as you're doing things. And just trust the process. I always think that if I put something in and I don't like love it, and actually I'm going to use a piece of ficus, then I usually just pull it right away because I feel like if you don't love it right away, it's going to really annoy you. And so if you keep building on it and then you pull it out, there's a good chance that then you're going to pull out other things that maybe you didn't want to because the glue has kind of settled and hardened and all that stuff. So I am going to take a piece of ficus, just build this out a little bit. And then let's see. Actually, maybe there's a little piece right here. And also, if there's something that just seems off, but you really can't figure it out, because sometimes that's just the way it goes. Like you're looking and you know something's off, but you don't know what. You know, it's also helpful to take a photo of something. I don't know the science of it. I know it's got something to do with mirrors and imaging, but that is a great way. Like the way things appear in photos, things really can jump out at you. So if you are feeling frustrated or whatever, designing isn't meant to feel that way. It's okay that it does. You know, it happens, especially when we're learning. But also you want to find ways to like alleviate that or find solutions so that you do enjoy it, because we do this because it's fun and we are given, you know, a skill or a talent because it's our gift that we're meant to exercise. So we don't want it to be like a torture test, basically. So that is a good way of trying to troubleshoot when there is something that just seems off to us. All right, so now I'm going to put my two tails back in the middle. Okay, and then I have my two tails that are out. Give them a nice fluff. This is why we always use wired ribbon, is because they get smushed and then like you fluff them right back up and they're like brand new. And you can take them and you can make them like wavy. You could keep them straight, however you want them to be. Tuck them in going one way. Again, super malleable. They can go wherever you want. So this is our easy DIY hydrangea wreath. So if you try this, let me know what you think, or let me know what you think in general about just kind of like an easy, you know, muscle memory wreath. If you have one and you want to share, let me know. All right, thanks for watching, guys. And if you like this video and want to see more, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.